The Story of King Milinda, the King of the Path, 1. The Origin and Military Career of King Milinda. King Milinda was of Greek origin, where he was known as a famous general who had never tasted defeat on the battlefield. As a warrior who won every battle, he joined the expeditionary army to attack India, a journey full of challenges but also full of glory. The king was not only outstanding in military strength, but also in his brilliant strategic ability, helping his army conquer new lands, establishing domination over a vast empire. When the leader of the army was murdered in a battle, the heavy responsibility of ruling a vast empire fell to Milinda. He succeeded to the throne and became the supreme monarch, with his capital at Sagala. Gala is a fertile land located at the headwaters of 5 great rivers at the foot of the majestic Himalayas. This location not only brings great natural beauty, but also plays an important strategic role, helping Milinda consolidate and protect his vast kingdom. 2. Achievements and merits of King Milinda. With a background as a talented general, when he became king, Milinda continued to demonstrate wisdom and insight in governing the country. Deeply aware of the importance of maintaining national security, he built a system of strong citadels, protecting the capital and important areas of the kingdom. The citadel was surrounded by deep moats and large stone gates, always with an elite army on duty, ready to repel any enemy who dared to invade. Thanks to this careful preparation and defense, no force could cause trouble or threaten the stability of the country. In addition to strengthening national defense, King Milinda also paid great attention to the welfare of his subjects. He understood that in order to have a prosperous kingdom, the lives of the people must be guaranteed first. With a strategic vision, he implemented many agricultural promotion policies, encouraging the development of agriculture, the economic foundation of the kingdom. He also promoted labor and handicraft industries, organized propaganda and campaigns to improve skills and product quality. Thanks to that, not long after, his country entered a period of peace and prosperity, becoming one of the richest and most powerful countries of that time. The capital city of Sagala, under the reign of King Milinda, became splendid and magnificent. The paths in the capital were paved with stone, creating a clean and solid landscape. In particular, the roads were also designed with separate paths for men and women, showing respect and clear distinction between the components of society. Along the way, the king built many cool houses and rest houses so that people had a place to stop and rest. The large ancient trees created shade, protecting people from the harsh sun, making the space cool and pleasant. Besides, everywhere in the capital were ponds raising all kinds of fish with brilliant colors, gardens full of exotic flowers and plants, a home for all kinds of birds and gentle animals. These natural landscapes not only beautify the capital, but also create spaces for relaxation and entertainment for the people. In addition, architectural works such as mansions, temples, streets, large and small theaters were all built elaborately and delicately, with a combination of beauty and solidity, creating an ideal living space for everyone. 3. The lavish life of the royal family and the capital of Sagala. In the royal palace, King Milinda owned many priceless treasures, from gold, silver, copper, to food, fabrics, all of which were stored in abundance to ensure that both the royal family and the people never lacked. The rarest gems, such as Mani jade, were also not lacking and were considered priceless treasures. The royal family used famous fabrics, brocades, and silks, such as Kasila, Udubara, and Koseya in their daily lives, demonstrating unparalleled luxury and nobility. Life in the royal palace took place in the utmost luxury, with splendid costumes, 2-horse and 4-horse carriages, and palanquins bustling back and forth. The lights from the royal palace were always bright and brilliant with hundreds of colors, and music and dances were constantly playing, creating a joyful atmosphere day and night. The royal family lived like celestial generals and goddesses of the heavens, with luxury and a majestic presence. In the capital, the people also enjoyed a prosperous life, dressed beautifully, decorated with garlands and pearls, and frequently visited public places and theaters for entertainment, creating a prosperous atmosphere everywhere. 4. Question and answer with the guard general. One day, after a long day of taking care of the government, King Melinda decided to go outside the palace to relax. With his entourage, he left the palace and stopped at a place with beautiful scenery, filled with the green of trees and the coolness of a winding river. As he sat down to rest on a rock under the shade of a large tree, the king looked up at the deep blue sky. In the middle of that sky, the brilliant sun was shining with all its power, dominating the vast space. He thought for a moment, then turned to ask his guard general, "Sir, do you see the sun?" The general respectfully replied, "Your Majesty, I see it." The king nodded and continued to ask, "It dominates the void with great power and inviolability. Can you feel it?" The general, realizing the depth of the king's question, replied, "Yes, Your Majesty." With a friendly smile, King Melinda patted the general on the shoulder and exclaimed, "That radiant sun is the Lord of the Void. Likewise, the bright wisdom is the Lord of all living beings in the three worlds. You have followed me to many places, and have carried my orders to all the capitals and remote border towns. Please try to remember, is there any monk or Brahmin who is a great intellectual, well-versed in the sutras and dharma, or who has declared himself to have attained the fruit of Arhat or Buddha? I want to meet them, to converse with them, to increase my knowledge and wisdom. Do you remember anyone?" The general, after a moment of careful thought, respectfully replied, "A long time ago, when I followed Your Majesty to this country, I studied the religious history of the indigenous people. They have 6 famous sects, which have existed for many generations, and each sect has famous religious leaders and masters. I think that Your Majesty can meet them to gain more useful knowledge." King Melinda smiled with satisfaction and said, "Very good. Your opinion is very much to my liking." 4. King Melinda's journey to seek knowledge. King Melinda, after hours of stressful and tiring handling of the court, often retreated to quiet places to find peace and contemplate the profound philosophical questions that always haunted him. As a king with outstanding wisdom and leadership ability, Melinda was not only concerned with ruling the country, but also spent time questioning things beyond material existence, about the meaning of life, about the nature of truth, about the relationship between humans and the universe. During these journeys, the king often came into contact with gurus, who were considered noble intellectuals in society. Assembly. He kept asking profound philosophical and religious questions, hoping to find satisfactory answers to his concerns. However, although he met many masters from famous sects, King Melinda was not disappointed. Their answers, though presented in a solemn and profound manner, could not calm the restlessness in his soul. Their teachings seemed too simple, not profound enough to satisfy the intellect of a king who was always eager to discover the ultimate truth. One afternoon, after a long day of discussing with his ministers about important matters of state, King Melinda felt the need to seek quiet contemplation. He decided to leave the palace and go to a quiet garden in the city. Sitting under the shade of a large old tree, the king began to think about his life, about his exploits, his wealth and power, but all of them seemed not enough to fill the void in his soul. The king called his general to his side and said, "My lord, throughout my life I have conquered many kingdoms, collected countless wealth and power. But why do I still feel so empty inside?" The general, who always respected and admired the king's wisdom, replied cautiously, "Your Majesty, perhaps it is because what you seek is not something that can be achieved through strength or wealth. Perhaps you are seeking something deeper, beyond common understanding." The king nodded, feeling that the general understood his thoughts to some extent. He continued to ask, "But if so, where do you think we should look for it? I have met many masters and asked them about the most profound things, but none of them could give me an answer that satisfied me." The general, after a moment's thought, said, "Your Majesty, perhaps what you seek is not easy answers. Perhaps it lies in a deeper understanding, a wisdom that only great masters can grasp. Your Majesty has met many true masters, but perhaps we have not yet found anyone who can truly answer your questions." 5. King Melinda's disappointment with contemporary philosophies. King Melinda, after hearing the general's words, decided to continue his journey in search of knowledge. He met many other true masters from famous sects of the time, but everything seemed to be not enough to satisfy his sharp and profound intelligence. One day, after meeting a true master from a famous sect, the king asked, "Venerable sir, living beings are everywhere in the three realms. There is life, there is retribution, there is retribution, there is life, there is life, there is birth, there is death, there is going down, there is going up, within a certain rule. So, can you tell me what nourishes and sustains them?" The master quickly replied, "Your Majesty, all living beings are nourished and protected by the earth. All life originates from the earth, which provides nourishment and protection to all living beings." The king, with his sharp intellect, pretended to smile and asked again, "Thank you, master. But do your teachings mention the suffering beings in the hell realms and the realms of hungry ghosts?" The master replied, "Yes, your Majesty." At this, the king showed his disappointment and stood up, waving his sleeves, angrily saying, "And you dare say that the earth nourishes and sustains living beings? If the earth really did that, why did it let sentient beings suffer terrible pain in the hells and hungry ghosts?" The master was silent, not knowing how to answer. King Melinda felt sad and thought to himself, could it be that the most famous masters of that time were so desolate and empty? Although he tried to find more masters from other sects, King Melinda still could not find the answer he wanted. Every time he met them, he asked similar questions, but all the sects could not provide a satisfactory philosophical solution. 6. The loneliness of King Melinda in his search for truth. As time passed, King Melinda felt more and more lonely and frustrated in his search for truth. Although he was an invincible king, with supreme power and profound wisdom, he still could not find liberation for his mind. For 12 long years he searched everywhere, from monks, Brahmins to ascetics, but none of them could satisfy him. King Melinda's disappointment spread throughout the capital city of Sagala. The monks, Brahmins, and ascetics gradually left the city. No one dared to come to the capital for fear of facing the king's profound questions. The atmosphere in the city became empty and cold, lacking the presence of intellectuals and religious spirits. The famous sects, which had existed here for centuries, had to move to other places to avoid meeting the king with his sharp but troubled intellect. In the heart of King Melinda, emptiness and loneliness grew more and more. He felt that everything around him, whether power, wealth, or fame, became meaningless in the face of unanswered philosophical questions. Even when he turned to reading scriptures and thinking deeply, his mind could not find the peace he craved. The story of King Melinda is a powerful illustration of the arduous journey of a king who, despite having all the power and wisdom in his hands, still felt lonely and empty in his search for knowledge and the ultimate truth. King Melinda devoted his entire life to this search, but in the end he realized that true satisfaction cannot be achieved through strength, power, or wealth alone, but requires a truly profound wisdom and a high level of spiritual enlightenment. His journey is not only that of an individual, but also a lesson about the limitations of human beings in their search for truth and meaning in life. The story of King Melinda reminds us that, no matter how great our achievements in life, we still need to constantly search and learn to understand more about ourselves and the world around us. Thank you for watching and accompanying us in this video. Hopefully, the knowledge and stories we share have brought you interesting and meaningful moments. If you find the content useful, don't forget to click like and subscribe to not miss the next videos. Wish you peace, success, and continue to explore new horizons. See you in the next videos.